Hello, and welcome to the lecture on economic variables. In this lecture, I'm going to describe flow and stock variables. I'm going to describe real and nominal variables. And then I'm going to perform some dimensional analysis, which is mathematics on the units of measurement. Flow variables are variables that include some sort of time constraint. That is, they flow through time. In our examples, we see that the units of measurement both include a time period. Dollars per hour, apples per week. This is how you identify a flow variable. A stock variable describes a quantity at a given point in time. How many cars does John own? John owns 2 cars. What is Mary's debt? Mary has a debt of $10,000. Both of these are quantities at a specific point in time. I should note at this time that a variable could also be neither a flow nor a stock. A price is an example. A price is not a flow variable, and a price is not a quantity at some given point in time, so it is not a stock variable. So a variable can either be a flow, a stock, or neither. What's the difference between a real and a nominal variable? A real variable is measured in physical units. In our examples here, we see apples, fish, and houses. These are all real goods, and therefore these are real variables. Nominal variables are easy to identify because a nominal variable always has a currency in the units. In these examples, we see dollars per pen and yen per month. The fact that there is a currency dimension within the units means that we have a nominal variable. There is one exception to this rule, and the exception is when we measure GDP, gross domestic product. GDP can either be measured in real terms, real GDP, or nominal terms, nominal GDP. However, the units for real GDP and nominal GDP are the same. For example, dollars per year. So seeing a GDP measurement of dollars per year will not help you identify whether it is real or nominal. In reality, the GDP will be labeled as either being real GDP or nominal GDP. So this will be explicitly stated. But again, this is the only exception to this rule. In all other cases, when you see a currency within the units, it means that you're dealing with a nominal variable. Let's move on to dimensional analysis. Earlier in this lecture, you've heard me refer to the units as dimensions. So these two words are interchangeable. Dimensions are units. And when we do dimensional analysis, we are performing mathematical operations on the units of measurement. So let's look at some examples. In the first example, I'm going to calculate total expenditure. Total expenditure is price times quantity. Here, there is a price of $3 per orange and a quantity of 2,000 orange per week. When we do this mathematical operation, we have 3 times 2,000 giving us 6,000, and we have dollars per orange multiplied by orange per week. This is the dimensional analysis. we see that orange divided by orange cancels out this particular dimension, leaving us with dollars per week. Before I move to the next example, let's review the types of variables that we're seeing here. We've got dollars per orange. This is a nominal variable. We have oranges per week. This is a real flow variable. And then we have dollars per week, which is a nominal flow variable. In the second example, I'm going to calculate a real income. Now, in order to calculate the real income for Jasper, I'm going to take $1,000 per week, divide it by $2 per apple, and we end up with 500 apples per week. The dimensional analysis for this problem is going to be dollars per week divided by dollars per apple. This is a fraction divided by a fraction. And in order to make this problem a little bit easier, I'm going to take the reciprocal of my denominator and turn it into a multiplication problem. Dollars per week multiplied by apples per dollar. We see that the dollars cancels out, and we end up with apple per week. Reviewing the types of variables in this problem, we have $1,000 per week, which is a nominal flow variable. We have $2 per apple, which is a nominal variable. And we have apples per week, which is a real flow variable. In this lecture, we learned that variables can either be flow, stock, or neither. We also learned that variables can be either real or nominal. And then we performed some dimensional analysis. Dimensional analysis is when we perform mathematical operations on the units or dimensions that are given in a problem. Thank you for viewing this lecture, and hopefully you learned something new. Take care, everybody.